Modern Warfare 2's DMZ just got its first big update, changing quite a few things across the board, as well as stealthily changing things have not been explicitly mentioned in the patch notes. So in this video, we're going to be breaking everything down so you know exactly what's changed, keeping you all in the know. But if, like me, you enjoy DMZ and you want to keep up to date with everything going on with it, and you're new to this channel, then be sure to subscribe below, as we'll keep you covered for everything DMZ related. Update 1.11 dropped last night, fixing quite a few issues that people have had trouble with. Starting off with a huge update improvement is that they fixed an issue that was causing you to get kicked out of the backpack if you were looting an eliminated player's backpack whilst they disconnected from the game. This was truly annoying because if players left immediately after dying, you couldn't get any of their loot. That is a really welcome change. They've also fixed an issue preventing you from equipping lethal and tactical equipment, which is really strange. They also fixed an issue that caused players to encounter the fail to connect to data centers error whilst extracting. And I didn't even realize that this was a bug, but they fixed an issue that caused lobby-wide microphone input during matchmaking. Hearing all those microphones go off in-game in the lobby was actually not intentional, so it should be a little bit quieter now. They also fixed an issue which allowed players to keep their armor plate carrier upgrades between matches despite having been eliminated. There's also a fix to those who have lost their backpack upgrade when extracting after being revived, which is hella frustrating to have extracted and actually not come out with everything that you extracted with. Now, these last two public fixes are pretty big, and one that I'm pretty sad about, and one is that they fixed an issue where you could extract your insured weapon as a contraband weapon. I put this in my top 15 tips and tricks video. You could clone your insured weapon and the game would count you as taking it out as contraband, so you could basically build up a massive stash of your insured weapon. That is apparently now fixed. However, there is a workaround. The workaround being that if you swap your insured weapon with a teammate and your teammate gives your weapon back to you, the game still technically classes that as a contraband weapon. So they patched it, but they also haven't at the same time. Don't tell Infinity Ward that I told you that, all right? The other thing fixes an issue where appropriate DMZ tiers were not appearing correctly. For some reason, whenever studios patch their games, there's always loads of other changes that they just don't list in these patch notes, and some of these are vitally important into how DMZ has worked up until now, with some things that are probably going to frustrate you if you've not already realized. The biggest unfrustrating thing that they fixed is that they fixed tier 3 missions not showing up in your faction missions. Up until now, some players have been stuck where they could not progress on these missions for like 4 to 5 days. So this is a much welcome update. It should now allow everyone, regardless if you've progressed to tier 3 already or not, to just be able to get there, continue through doing all those faction missions as you would expect to. Now, there are still some issues with some of these, so I'm hoping that there is another patch coming soon to fix some of these missions that don't track correctly, but I'm sure that will come in due course. The biggest and most surprising change of all to DMZ last night is that Infinity Ward have fixed a very popular method that everyone's been using to get the M13B from the chemist, as well as get the weapon case from the Juggernaut, and that is using vehicles to kill bosses. The footage you're seeing on screen now, this is how most people were killing bosses in DMZ, just getting a vehicle and running them over. Simple as that, squishing them flat like a pancake. But with the latest update, they've completely changed how this works, where the Juggernaut as well as the chemist will now be running a constant DDoS, which disables any vehicle that gets near it. So it is now physically impossible to use a vehicle to run over any of these bosses. Why they did not mention this in the patch notes is absolutely beyond me, because this is one of the biggest changes that they could make to DMZ. Even if you're in a helicopter and you fly near to these bosses, the helicopter will also be DDoSed and be completely destroyed. So this has made getting the M13 and getting the weapon case infinitely harder than it was before, especially if you are a solo player. On solo, using a vehicle was practically the only way to guarantee to have some sort of way of getting these bosses killed and picking up that M13 or weapon case, and now you just simply can't do it. And I'm kind of in two minds about it. On the one hand, yeah, it does seem pretty cheesy to be able to just run a boss over and immediately kill him and grab the weapon, so it's going to add a bit more difficulty and a bit more fun, but at the same time, it's just going to make any solo DMZ player's life an absolute misery. But that's not the only thing that they've changed to make DMZ harder. They've also made an adjustment to how the gas masks work, because looking at how the gas worked in DMZ from launch, you can actually survive quite a while in the gas if you were going for the M13B without needing to put on a gas mask. But that's completely changed now. You die so much quicker in the gas than you previously would have, which is going to make those final exfil moments where you're having to go through the gas to get to that final point a lot more difficult. But not only that, but they've also adjusted the gas masks so they are no longer as strong as they used to be. If you had a normal gas mask, you could survive in the gas for a pretty long time. But now, if you have a normal gas mask, you can see that it does tick down a lot quicker than it did before. And if you had a durable gas mask, well, you're laughing, because before this update, you could have a durable gas mask and essentially be in the gas for minutes at a time without ever having to worry about the health on that thing. But they've adjusted that too, so gas masks don't last as long as they used to, which in turn is going to make getting that M13B a lot more risky without a gas mask, because you genuinely might die if you don't have one going in there. But also for those final exfils, it's going to be a lot more dangerous and a lot more risky than how it was before this patch. But there is still some hope to anyone that still hasn't got the M13B. Now, you're going to need to know a friend that already has it, but if they create an M13B as their insured weapon and they spawn into a game with you and just drop it and you exfil, you unlock it that way. So you don't need to kill the chemist and grab that M13. As long as someone in the game can drop you a M13, you'll still be able to unlock it the easier way. Now, there are also a few other changes to Modern Warfare 2 outside of DMZ specifically, but it does also affect DMZ slightly, and that is that they've actually changed a few of the weapon levels on certain guns, so they now have an additional level that they didn't have before, which goes past the weapon tuning attachment feature. I don't know the specific weapons off by heart, but I know I had the EBR max rank, and now I'm still one level away from max on that. And the same with the Basilisk pistol. But it seems either there was supposed to be more levels to these guns and they just didn't have them ready in the game until now, or they're actually adding in new attachments and things to guns after the launch. I just really hope that in the near future, Infinity Ward adds some sort of solo playlist or solo filter for those that are playing DMZ on their own and, you know, are trying to get some of these challenges done, like the weapon case or the M13, because this is just going to be so much more difficult than it already is. But let me know what you think of all these changes down below in the comment section. I'm sure some people are not going to be happy by this, while some might actually be maybe a little bit happy now that they've changed the way that the bosses work a little bit, so it's an actual fight per se rather than it being super duper easy. But the thing that's a bit frustrating about all of these changes is that they haven't been put in the patch notes. Players have had to go out their way and discover these changes themselves without the developers actually explaining why they've made these changes. Like, we can assume we all know why they've changed the bosses and how that works with the vehicles, but when it comes to the gas mask, maybe some explanation or some data to suggest that, you know, this wasn't working as intended, or it was a bit too simple, so this is why we upped the tick rate on the gas mask. Just stuff like that. I think it would be, you know, refreshing to hear, because I remember back during like the days of Black Ops 4 Zombies and the height of that, where there were significant changes but the patch notes did not include them and the developers never explained why they made those changes, and these things are pretty big to the meta of DMZ. So the fact this mode is still so fresh and brand new, I feel like it's just common courtesy for them to explain when they're making so many changes to this very new mode. If there are any other changes to DMZ in the future, I'll be sure to update you, so subscribe to the channel. More DMZ content coming on the way soon, but thank you for watching.